Broadcasting worldwide from the beautiful hill country in Texas, this is OneRadioNetwork.com. Well, a very pleasant good morning to you. This is Patrick Timpone, and you've got OneRadioNetwork.com, OneRadioNetwork.com. It's the 18th of September, 2012. Yesterday was the 225th anniversary of the Constitution of September 17, 1787. 225 years. We are going to go down the road of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, with the work of Dr. Ed Rivera, which is really, I think, cool stuff, challenging to understand, but even if you never do anything with this information, I think it's just cool and fascinating to know what's up with this, if for no other reason, just to understand that what you understand about the formation of the United States of America, two separate places, I know, see there already, is really strange. Now, Dr. Rivera was going to call me right back. How are you, Dr. Rivera? We're on the air.
Oh, good. Fine. Got my coffee.
What, you got your coffee?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's early there. I was just telling folks that yesterday, the 225th anniversary of the Constitution of September 17, 1787. And I also mentioned that if, regardless of people never do anything with this information as far as, well, just, I think it's really interesting and powerful to know that what we understand, the formation of this government, the Constitution, and the authority of this government is nothing like we really understand it to be, is it, Dr. Rivera?
No, it's not. It's set up on a commercial system, which is, business of America is business, but it's good to know that that's the way the government is set up.
Yeah. The Northwest Ordinance is so key in this, and this was a territory that was won by the United States of America in the war, correct?
That's right. It's the spoils of war.
The spoils of war, and it comprised the area that we known. Give us the states that are generally in that Northwest Territory area.
Let's see. There's Iowa. And there's Wisconsin, part of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois, I believe, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Ohio.
Oh yeah, Ohio. That's the first one that becomes a state.
Yeah. So this whole area was just kind of out there in La La Land, and the 13 original colonies was what we know as the Confederacy, right?
That's right.
Or the United States. I'm sorry?
The first Confederacy.
What does that word mean?
The Northern Confederacy.
What does a Confederacy mean?
It's a group of people, like-minded entities that throw themselves in an organization for a specific purpose, defense.
It could almost be a neighborhood. You can have a confederacy with 50 families in your neighborhood or something.
Yeah, Confederates.
Confederates?
Yeah.
Where did that word come from?
From the idea of federation.
Federation
is the main word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when the 13 original colonies, these were the people that essentially got together and did the war with King George, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the spoils of war was this huge swath of land that I guess before the war, Dr. Rivera, the King George thought he owned all this area, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio. He thought he owned it.
Well, that's the way the monarchy works. It's his domain,
Oh,
and everybody on the property was his subjects. So he ruled.
he ruled. When did that ruling start? When did he say that I own this place?
Well, that it goes back to the English monarchy, back to the days where warlords set themselves up as divine rulers,
Hmm.
head of the church.
But are you talking 100, 200 years, 1,000 years? Just to give us an
1,000 years.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty adventurous for being over there in
Back
England.
at that time, 1,000 years from the 1700s.
I'm sorry?
It was 1,000 years from the 1700s back to Alfred and Ethelbert and Ethel the Great and
Yeah, yeah. Where did
Alfred the Great.
where did they get off coming across the ocean and claiming all this land?
That was the right of conquest.
I see.
The European idea that if you go out and plant your flag on a place, and you shoot anybody that tries to take your flag down.
That's just the way it was done, right?
That's the way. That's international law.
Right, right. Kind of like what the United States of America is doing today.
Well, no, not exactly, because we don't claim the land.
Oh, we just steal their money and oil and stuff.
Well, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Or take over the central bank, as they do in Libya. I see. Well, let's not go there. Okay, but this area known out there, Iowa, Wisconsin, and all that stuff, and the spoils of war, the Northwest Ordinance was created to put a little net around this whole area and have some laws and stuff, and that's in 1787.
That's right. July 13th, 1787 is when it's passed. It's passed by Congress. It's a
The Congress
law.
of the United States of America, the 13 colonies.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a Congress over there. There was nothing going on in this land in Northwest Ordinance except a bunch of land with a bunch of people. And did they want to join into
Not
this?
a whole bunch of people.
No, not a whole bunch of people. Did they want to join in this United States of America?
Well, yes, they did, but there just weren't enough people to create a state.
Uh-huh.
It was called the Wilderness Area.
Sure. So who created this article, the Northwest Ordinance?
Well, that was done by Congress. Of course, everything is done by committee even back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so these committees set up the legislation, and then Congress enacted it as the ordinance, the municipal or local law for this specific place. Because remember, Congress couldn't make laws generally, but they could for this area because it belonged to the United States of America.
So that's so fascinating what you just said. If you get this, folks, it's really key here. So this place, this 13 original counties, it was called the United States of America, and Congress couldn't even make laws for that area.
No.
They couldn't make any laws because the people were free. I mean, they just got rid of King George.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Now, you correct me if I'm wrong here when I'm making these statements. So they created this Northwest Ordinance so they could do what?
Well, so they could have a temporary government. In fact, the first thing you see when you look at the law, the ordinance, is that it's creating a temporary government for this district.
Mm-hmm. For this district of Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and all of that.
So the district was the Northwest Territory. The states became were a division of that district. So the district was divided into states,
mm-hmm.
Just for the purpose of naming them, and to determine how much population was in those states so that they could be admitted as states. So Ohio was the one that was first populated sufficiently to become a state, and then they petitioned Congress to become a state.
Who was Ohio?
It was Ohio.
Yeah.
1803, I think.
Okay. Now, here's what you wrote yesterday. Yesterday you wrote, "This is the 225th anniversary of the Constitution of September 17, 1787, the Constitution of the United States, George Washington orally swore to preserve, protect, and defend when he got sworn in, right, in 1789. And to the best of his ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. So this Constitution that he swore when he took office was between the United States of America and this place now called the United States, which was the territories in the Northwest Ordinance, correct?
That's right.
So when he took office as President of the United States, it had nothing to do, he had no authority over the 13 colonies, correct?
That's correct.
He only had authority over this new place called the United States. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's the place that's formerly known as Iowa. You know, they became states, and these are called the United States.
Well, they're united. They're all
united.
together.
So you've got the United States of America over here, but he didn't take an oath to be president of the United States of America?
No, because if you look at the Articles of Confederation, create the United States of America as a confederacy.
Yeah.
There's no oath required because it's made up of states, and the states act on whatever situation they're involved in as states, as sovereign states, and they specifically retain that distinction of being sovereign.
Sovereign.
So they don't give up their sovereignty when they join this confederation. That's why they're confederates. They're equal.
Mm-hmm. So what would be one of those 13 states? Maybe New York.
Delaware.
Okay,
Delaware,
pick Delaware. So
Okay.
Delaware, when they joined this confederacy known as the United States of America, they're totally free, independent, and George Washington doesn't have any control over them whatsoever.
That's correct.
Okay, because why would they do that, right? Last thing they needed now is to have somebody telling them what to do.
That's why they fought a war and made great sacrifices.
Or to tax them or whatever, right? So tell us what this Whiskey Rebellion, because this was really the first time where this whole thing got kind of, how do you say, not kosher, right?
Well, what does the government do but tax and spend?
Tax and spend.
And what George Washington was trying to do was to create a commercial entity that was viable.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, you have to be able to tax.
Sure.
Because taxation is really just the same thing commercially as making sales.
Okay, you're a commercial entity rather than sell widgets.
Yeah.
Your only business model is to tax.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing that they tax are imports into the United States. So what I do is I provide the students with all the statutes that are enacted, or almost all of the statutes that are enacted during George Washington's two administrations.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the administration because they're administering their property.
But let's be clear. They were taxing the imports to the United States. That's that Northwest Territory area.
No.
Okay, well, you said United States, it's not the United States of America.
That's what the law says. That's why I give the students the law so they can actually see that it does say the United States, but they only have authority over the United States that are the Northwest Territory.
Well, that's what I just said, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, but it's got nothing to do with taxing imports coming into Delaware.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
See, that's the key, isn't it?
That's the key. But what they do is they set up custom houses in Delaware.
Okay.
Because everybody is confused.
So they got confused right away.
Yeah, and the reason they get confused is because George Washington takes two offices.
Mm-hmm.
Before he becomes president of the United States,